Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight we have Exie Susanne Smith, best-selling author and speaker, energy reader, and spiritual medium. I'll tell you a little bit more about her in just a minute.
Okay.
All right, so tonight we got Exie Susanne Smith, spiritual medium, energy reader, best-selling author, right? Or author. I might have added the best-selling on my own. I don't know.
No, best-selling.
Exie Smith is a spiritual medium, energy reader whose daily life has spirits and ghosts coming to call no matter where she happens to be. Her first book, Welcome to My Paranormal Life, she has been told serves as an educational primer for many people in the paranormal world. Her goal is to continue her education, finding honest answers about the paranormal in the hope of being able to better help you. So, how you doing, Exie?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Jason? You got me?
Oh, you know what? I hit the wrong button.
Hi, Exie.
Hi, Lisa. And how are you, Jason?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. But I can't complain because it's 4 a.m. right now in the good United Kingdom where Lisa's from. Watched my show before. I've had Lisa on. She's my friend from the ITC Collective. She's going to be one of my panelists tonight. Judy might be joining me. I don't know. She kind of has some family emergency maybe happening. I'm not sure. She said she would try to jump on. But Judy, if you've got important things with family going on, don't hop on. Take care of it. No problem, hon. But tonight, like I said, we're going to have Exie on. Maybe we'll try to do some open lines so you can ask her some questions. But we're going to get to our World Wide Web of Weird. I haven't got to do that in a few weeks, so I got some videos. Not a ton. I tried to keep it short for my guest tonight, but I got some interesting stuff that I've been noticing on the web going around the last couple weeks. So let me get my screen share back up. And guys, if you don't hear the audio when I start playing it, let me know, because there's a couple things I had changed on my setup that got me a little worried that the audio won't come through. So if you don't hear it, let me know.
How's my audio tonight?
You sound perfect.
Okay, good. I've got a new headset. Adam got me.
I wondered. It looked new. Thank you, Adam. And that is Adam back there. That is Lisa's boyfriend joining us tonight, too. She's keeping him up at 4 a.m.
I said he's got to stay with me tonight for a change.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys see my screen share? I want to make sure that's working.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I do World Wide Web of Weird. Actually, if you haven't seen my show, I do a basic three things: ghost, UFO, and cryptoid. So I always look for the videos. The hardest ones to find are ghost videos. There's a ton of ghost videos, but anything like recent or new, those don't come by a lot. There's a lot of fake ones. A lot of ones I right off the bat go,
Yeah.
Some of the fake ones on here just to point out stuff. Even when it comes to cryptoid or UFO, I'll show something real and I'll let the audience decide. We're going to start with cryptoid tonight. This one, like I said, I don't just because I show it doesn't mean I believe it's real. If this one has any audio tied to it, anyways.
Looks like a pterodactyl.
That's what they say. Real Protosaurus spotted over Idaho, USA. But you know what it reminds me of? There's another movie that I've watched a billion times from my childhood. It's called War Games. And in War Games, this computer programmer guy, this old guy, they come on his little private island and they see this Protosaurus pterodactyl flying around. And it's a remote-controlled one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was wondering whether it's some modern, new toy that's going around. But
its wings didn't flap; it just flew. It looks pretty.
It looks really real, doesn't it?
But is it CG? You know. You know, that's the problem with anything in this field of the paranormal and cryptoid zoology and UFO. Can you guys hear the audio on this?
Yes.
Okay, good. But the problem is we cannot believe anything we see.
No.
The better it looks, the less I believe. And if it's really great and crappy footage, we're like, oh, come on. Everybody's got good cameras now.
Yeah. Unless we're actually there and seeing it for our own eyes.
You know,
it's really hard, isn't it? Because there's so many good camera effects nowadays.
I know.
Absolutely.
It's like recently there's my St. Anthony's Hospital where my son was born, I was born. Somebody posted a pic of a little ghost girl. Like, I should show it on here. Darn it, I should have had that ready. I should have talked about that, darn it, because it really fired me up. I'm like, one, that's not St. Anthony's Hospital. I grew up in that hospital. I know that's not that room. Somebody in iTown posted it and said, this little ghost girl. And I go, and the other thing is, I've seen that ghost girl in like a billion different pictures. It looks really real. But it's on an app, and she's it's an image that's been used on so many other things, and it was going around. I had people sending me this picture. Everybody I work with, everybody in my family knows I do this. So I get like 4 different people send me this. Did you see this? This was in St. Anthony's Hospital. I'm like,
not again.
It only took about an hour of people commenting on the feeds and going, here's the picture. This is where you can find it. It's a fake. Blah blah blah. But why do people do that?
I don't know.
It boggles my mind why people think it's fun to put fake stuff up like that, and they act so serious about it. Like,
I know.
Be like,
they've obviously got no interest in this field at all. Obviously, they're just after it, just for the fun of it.
I agree.
All right, so now on to UFO. I got some more cryptoid stuff coming up, but on to UFO. UFO, I got a few of these. I get backed up on UFO videos. There's a lot of crazy, interesting ones, and I get backed up on these pretty well, and I have to decide which ones I'm going to show. There's like, I swear, 20 new UFO videos a week.
Wow.
And some of them seem pretty credible. I mean, of course, then again, you got to deal with CG, drones. Drones are the new one.
Oh, that's true.
You know, that you just don't know anymore. You know, it's like, well, that could be a drone, and the FAA it's a huge nightmare for them.
Yeah.
These things are going to start getting real dangerous. But here's a UFO. I don't think it's a drone. This was in Jefferson, New York. I forgot the date on this. September 22nd was published. What did it say? It was from April of this year, April 17th.
Maybe for my birthday. Is this taken at night?
Yes. It's got an unusual flying pattern. It's hard to tell because he's moving his camera around. These are the ones I believe are more legit because it is crappy footage, but it's because he's taking it from his phone. He just suddenly sees this. When somebody's got a nice camera and a nice setup shot, I don't believe it. How'd you get so damn lucky when it comes to UFOs, you know?
I know.
That's what my husband always says.
Yeah. We watched one the other day, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
And it was like they were talking a totally different language, weren't they? And they got out the car, and these lights started twinkling, and then it went behind a cloud, and then all of a sudden they fell down. Have you seen that one?
No.
Where the lights fall down onto the ground, and they're like, oh, 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 but they're talking a different language.
That's YouTube?
I don't know. It might have been Facebook.
You can find me that video, Lisa.
I'll try and find it.
Yeah, you let me know, because that's raw material for my show.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
It's at least 10 minutes long. They're watching it behind the clouds, and then all of a sudden it just twinkles down to the ground.
So you're saying the people that got out of the car were like aliens or something? Like,
well, no, they weren't aliens. They were normal people, but they were just like in awe of it, and there were about 5 or 6 of them, weren't there?
Yeah, there's
Facebook
based on it.
Yeah, let me know if you find that. Send me the link.
Yeah, I'll find it for defo.
Now these, I had so many UFO videos, but I picked a couple because of their significance. This is a UFO film during the Super Harvest Blood Moon. So I was on a show that night for the Blood Moon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But that's the only cool thing that night because I couldn't see the moon cloud.
Oh.
Oh, I stepped outside and it was just raining.
Yeah, well, it clouded over. It's like I got to see the first half of the moon, start the eclipse, and then this big cloud just rolled right up in front and said, you ain't gonna see nothing.
Oh, that's too bad. It was fabulous.
I know, and I even let my son. He stays up anyways. I let him stay up. No, he stayed up. I
would have had to stay up till 5 to watch the whole thing, so I didn't.
Have to watch it, and I'm like, oh, he's like, oh, big deal, whatever. There's a cloud, I don't care. I'm like, all right, what is it? When does it come again? Like 25 years?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Long time anyway.
Yeah.
All right, when you're my age, kiddo, you'll get to see it. A little younger. All right, so here is, after this, let me get past this advertisement.
The 7 family, the world's smallest full-frame interchangeable lens cameras, 35mm.
Okay. September 28th, 2015. This is from France. Amazing rare pictures. I got 2 of these videos. Now, I'm going to fast forward because I don't think the good stuff doesn't happen until later in the video, after the eclipse.
It's amazing how red it is, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
It really was that red. It was just so.
We never got to see it because it was so late, weren't it?
Yeah, I saw it when it covered over.
Yeah, we saw it cover over, and then we just went to bed.
Yeah, because it was, what, 4 a.m. your time or something? Then, too?
Yeah.
Like 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
It was late.
Where is it? I know there's they say the UFO footage to the very end, I think. Let me get to it. Here we go. See it?
Oh, yeah.
Something moving across the moon. And it's I love pillar UFOs. It's almost got that pillar shape to it.
Yeah. It's a funny color as well.
My only question is could it be, our depth perception is all going to be not right with the moon. Could it be a satellite? I don't know. I'm not could it be a satellite we're seeing and it's just, looks like it's hovering right over the moon, but really it's in our upper atmosphere?
Yeah.
It could have been. I can think of.
With it being that high up and so close, it might have just made it look completely different.
Right. That's the only thought on it. But then again, I love pillar UFOs because to me it always goes back to the Bible and the the Israelites in the desert and the pillar of fire in the sky dropping manna, and to me it's like I'm not trying to disgrace anybody on religion. Nobody get mad at me in this one for me, but it's something I've been fascinated with. I read the Bible more than 5 times because I swear we were visited and it's in the Bible.
I'm not religious at all, but
No.
But the Bible is one of the main books I do really want to read before I die. I don't know why. I just.
You know what got me reading the Bible besides that is I loved Indiana Jones, and when I was a kid, I was an archaeologist. So I was like, here's a piece of history here, and atheists want to say it's all made up belief stories. I don't believe
You've
that.
got to respect your history, though, haven't you?
Yeah, there's something in the Bible.
You've got to give it respect and just try and understand it because it's our history.
People didn't write these stories down for no reason at all.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let me pick the other one here. This is the other blood moon eclipse UFO footage. This comes from security team. One day I got to get these guys on the show. I always play their videos.
Hey, what's up, guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. I was completely amazed by the amount of emails, stories, footage, and pictures that we received regarding the recent blood moon eclipse that just happened within the past couple days. And I probably got about 20 emails from people stating that they
skip past.
Witnessed.
Guy probably would hate me, though, because I always skip past him talking and get to the good stuff.
Yeah, the best footage that we have. We've got some pictures and some footage here. So we'll go ahead and show you this first video right here in which we see 2 UFOs flying across the shot of the blood moon. Now, they don't look like birds to me. They don't look like drones. And the original source to this video, which was posted on Facebook, we'll put down in the video description.
Yeah, it's crazy looking.
It is. Go well fast.
Mm.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's going real fast. You know, all I need to know is, though, what are they using to film this with?
Yeah, and what's happening over there?
Yes.
Or is it CG trickery? Secure TV.
Because I watch satellites all the time here. We go on to the NASA sites and we find out when they're going to come over. And they look so slow from here, but they're going incredibly fast.
Yeah, they're going real fast.
Yeah. They must be, because they're really high up, aren't they?
Satellite won't make that kind of turn. Not like that. No, not at all.
No, they don't. They have just the straight path.
Yeah.
Tweeted to us by a friend of ours online who actually did a great job in comparing this UFO to a UFO that we captured on the live ISS stream last year. You can see in the image here, he's taking a picture of the moon, and he stated, and as you can see in the image next to the moon, we have this large cloud formation that looks like a giant triangular craft. It does not look like your typical cloud. And what kind of drove this thing home was the fact that he went back and he found in our 2014 video in which we captured a very similar UFO on the live ISS stream next to the International Space Station, after which the feed was cut, but needless to say, we did capture it before the feed was cut. And
anybody I played that on my show
sent
previously.
us another tweet with the comparison, at which point we retweeted.
I played this on my show previously. He's talking about this UFO was caught on the NASA live International Space Station feed, and it's incredible. And then they cut the feed.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Similar-shaped craft, but there definitely seems to be something in the sky here, and the comparison here is almost identical. And our friend, whose name is Stephen Clay, actually put up a YouTube video for us that he took the time to make, showing the images and video footage of this UFO, which we've gone ahead and gotten his permission to play for you now. We'll put the link down to his original video down in the video description.
Looks like he had the same cloud problems I did.
It looks like a plane track, but it's massive.
It's interesting when he does the contrast. It looks, it could be a cloud formation, but when he does the contrast, it looks like it could be a solid object up in the sky.
I know.
But that'd be a Starship Enterprise size. I mean, that thing's huge.
I know it is. Takes up like the whole sky.
The one UFO I saw was that big. It floated right over our heads. I felt like I was in Star Wars. It was just like kept on going.
But you actually saw that for real?
Yeah, just the one time. The only time I've seen UFO.
This set of images was emailed to us by a man named Michael from Deming, New Mexico. And in his email, he stated that as a person, he does not scare easily. But what he saw when videoing and taking images of the moon really got him shaken up. And you can see in the images here, he said there were multiple orbs around the moon, which you can see in the image. They're very small orbs right on the outside of the moon.
I think it's your camera, buddy.
As well as large objects.
Yeah.
The sort of blended in with the clouds that are also around the moon here.
Yeah, that's your camera not being able to process what it's seeing.
This third image here was emailed to us. It's a close-up of a craft that was captured, once again, in the vicinity of the eclipse. I got an email from a man who said his girlfriend filmed this object up close while out there taking pics of the moon. She had no idea what it was. It both caught them by surprise when they put it on their computer, and they wanted to send it in, and it definitely looks like your typical saucer-shaped craft, which is something we see a lot of. So once again, thanks to them. A lot of stuff going on with these eclipses. you have your own footage, you send it in. We are going to be continually posting new footage and images from the eclipse.
And there's a lot.
We're going to be posting that on our Facebook page and via Twitter. So be sure to follow us. All of that contact info is down in the video description. Look out for the new videos and images because they're coming in by the hour. And if we get something else monumental, we'll definitely make another YouTube video on it. But until then, be sure to share and subscribe and stay tuned. We've got...
Go check out Secure Team. I know they have their critics. They put up anything and everything, fake or not. They put it up there. But you know what? People are the decision makers. If they think something's true or not, you have to decide.
Yeah.
I don't criticize.
I've just been looking at this Bigfoot spotted carrying a baby.
Yeah, I'm going to play that next. I love everybody sees it, and they're like, hey, are you going to play that video? Sometimes I don't. But
I want to see it.
I will. I want to say one thing, though, about this UFO thing. If aliens wanted to remain secret, you think they'd go, hey, let's not fly around during the eclipse. Might not be a good idea. A lot of people are going to be looking up in the sky. So maybe they did want us, maybe they did want us to see them. There are a ton of videos I was finding about UFOs during the blood moon and people seeing them. Because everybody's looking up in the sky,
Yeah.
So
maybe the aliens wanted to see the blood moon up close.
Right. You know what I think? I think they're time travelers, but interdimensional time travelers. That's just a little theory I have. But. Okay, so here for Lisa. After the ad that I don't get any money for.
With built-in 4G LTE
I'm a non-monetized channel too, so people know.
He's a legend, most say a myth, and people hunt for him on reality TV. But a Bedford County woman now says her story is no joke. She called the sheriff's office about Bigfoot. Yes, you heard that right. And Angela Hatcher is here to tell us more about this one.
Well, Dana, I did talk with a woman on the phone today. I couldn't convince her to do an interview. She said she just moved to the area and she doesn't want to get a certain reputation with her neighbors. But she does want to warn them. She told the dispatcher she's now thinking about moving back.
I know this is going to sound crazy.
Dispatchers could tell you callers never just stop right there, and the stories sometimes seem unbelievable. Let's listen to the rest.
I know this is going to sound crazy, but I went back and checked, and there were prints of Bigfoot with a baby.
There were what?
It was a Bigfoot with a baby.
After assuring the dispatcher she hadn't been drinking, the woman had 2 days to call. She said she was driving up Route 43 toward the Peaks of Otter last Wednesday. It was 20 minutes till midnight when she says her headlights hit something strange past Turkey Mountain Road just before you come to the first bridge. She says she went back in daylight.
And I did see some footprints. And the stride was longer than anything I could make.
The woman says the creature's footprint was bigger than her 2 feet together end to end, and she wears a size 8. She says it was holding her baby the way a human would. It says that baby had a face only a mother could love.
And the baby was looking right at me.
Oh. It looked just like Chewbacca from Star Wars.
Chewbacca!
It appears like it's from out of this world actually exists right here at home.
Have you ever got another report?
This is in Virginia, I forgot to mention.
I've never had a call like this in my life.
I bet not.
All right. A dispatcher for 10 years, and Danner, a deputy, did drive out there. Thing. But again, she did call 2 days after she claims that she saw those creatures, and she tells me that she knows that they weren't bears. I grew up in that area, and it's pretty common, but she says they weren't bears, and we do have a call into a state biologist to see if he can explain what she means. So we might have Bigfoot gates in our hands, apparently. Let us know what you find out. All right.
That's so cute.
So, the woman, why would she just decide, hey, if I'm going to hoax this, I'm just going to call in and tell them about a Bigfoot baby? I believe her, I don't see...
Yeah, she saw something.
Yeah, she saw something. Maybe I'm gullible. People never cease to amaze me the crap that they pull for that. She didn't give her name. She didn't want to be known. So why even do it? So I think she saw something. I really do. So we'll see. Bigfoot's in Virginia with babies. Bigfoot babies. Only a mother could love. I love. That's my favorite part of this video.
Hopefully, we'll see more of them if they're breeding.
All right, so I only got one ghost video. This was security camera footage from a restaurant. This is not new. This is old. So that's what I say. And I can't always find new ghost videos, but I'll pull up some ones I think are interesting. So here we go. This was 2013, July 10th. Gimmy's World Grill, Lenton. I don't know what that is, where that is. Now watch her table after she leaves. Got their attention. And go back to my meal. Just a ghost.
That's really weird.
My only thing is that
someone's opened a door and gone out or something.
Whenever
it's a draft.
Yeah, well, no. Whenever it's a business involved, I always have a little worry that maybe a business is not doing so good, and they're like, hey, if we tell people it's haunted, maybe they'll come an ostrich in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's possible. It's possible.
Well, I always wonder why it's always the table you can just barely see. Right. And what was she doing that she sat back down? It was like, was she hooking the plate up to something?
Right.
So it could be pulled off the table?
It seems a bit suspicious to me.
It does.
I've seen the video a billion times. I decided to play it tonight. You know, like I said, I play videos that, you know, a lot of times I don't think are real, but I want the audience to take a look because these.
Yeah.
Like, you know, these things go around social media for years. And,
I never saw that one before.
Well, good.
No, I haven't either.
I love that. I love that when I play something and people haven't seen it before. So it was new to you. Good. I've seen it for a while, and I've just like, I thought, you know what, I don't have another good ghost video tonight. I'm going to play it because this one's bothered me. Just like that, the hotel security cam footage where the guy like goes in the room and the chairs are stacked inside, and then you hear screaming. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen that one, actually. That one bothered me. You know, like, is that real? Tell me more. I need to know more. You never know more. A video that goes around the internet, and you never find anything out more about it.
No.
All right. And then one more thing before we get to our guest here. I know some people might be interested to know. Let me get to here. Exie, by the way, Lisa here is, we met doing in a group called the ITC Collective. And she does, you know, spirit box stuff, but she also does water ITC. And
what's that?
This is.
It's a bit like scrying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You just record it though. You know, it's a bit more advanced nowadays because you get to record it with a camera and look through it frame by frame. So you've got lots of chances of getting spirit in the picture. And I actually asked for them, and I also asked for them to sign their signature, and they're getting quite good at it now. They can also sign my name a lot of the times, and I asked them.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I asked them to you know, give me Jason's favourite memory, and also if they could sign his name for me, and they got both, really, in that picture, and I was just amazed.
They really did. So here's my, you know, it's trying to spell my name, Jason.
And also the second name, nearly.
Yeah.
And A-N-D there, down at the bottom, horizontal to Jason. You can see A-N-D.
I've shown this on the show before a couple times now, but I'm still amazed for it. And I wasn't going to show it, but I thought, I still left it up here because I'm still amazed by this. You know, one is try to spell my name, which I think it came pretty darn close to getting. But the memory part, that to me, I have no doubt in my mind what my favorite memory is. It's the day my son was born, the first time I got to hold him. And you see here,
yeah.
and like he's holding a baby.
You can see your little hat on your head, you know, shining.
Yeah.
And you can also see
cool.
there's an electricity bolt going from your head to show that it's a memory.
And you know what? This here, my wife says she can see this.
Oh, yeah.
She couldn't see the other thing. And, hey, my Siri is going nuts on my phone again. What the heck? My phone gets possessed at times, I think, from stuff I've done on the show. But anyways, I swear you see a face right here.
Yeah, I do.
It looks like
two eyes, a nose, a mouth. And it's got like a little teardrop as well at the side.
Yeah, my son cries often.
It just looks like a little toddler's face to me.
But it looks like my son. My wife didn't see it, so maybe it's just me. But she did see this. She says, "Oh, I see that in the name." She's like, "I really don't see the face." I do. I see my first time I looked at him, I'm like, that is my son's face. Maybe it's just me. But what I want to really show is here's the news. It's a boy. It's official. Released by the ultrasound, and it's one baby. All those people have twins.
You thought he was having twins.
Steve Huff got it right so far, as the ultrasound said. He said he always been able to protect babies, and when I told him I was having a baby, he said, "It's a boy. I've never been wrong about this." So far, he's right.
He was right.
Katrina Cooper said it was a girl, and I put her on the spot, and so I have no fault to her on that at all. You know, you put a medium on a spot, it's a bad thing, and I didn't expect her. She said she felt a girl, but at the same time, she's starting to discover I have a girl spirit around me like all the time. It's a long story.
He looks like he's sticking his tongue out there.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
My work said, "Oh, it could."
Oh, it's beautiful.
Behind him, I'm like, "Be quiet." No. Like, which way? All right, let me get the screen share off. All right. So tonight we got Exie Susanne Smith. So Exie, I always ask this to start, what got you into the field of the paranormal?
When I was 12, I had a ghoulish spirit demon appear in my closet. And of course, it's in the closet, you know. When you're a kid, nothing's more terrifying. And it was there. It shut my bedroom door. It had me isolated, and it was giving me basically a why in the road. This was my time in life that it was giving me a choice. I could have everything I wanted, or just stay on the path that I was, and I knew better. I knew that someday, you know, you can't have everything without paying back. So I chose God, and I went with God, and he recessed into the closet and went away. And then when I was about 40, he came back and he checked on me. Wow. And I just laughed at him. Yeah, it was really, his eyes appeared. I'll never forget his eyes. And they appeared in a banner in my hallway. I was in the bathroom fixing my hair, and I looked, because you ever had that feeling you're being watched?
Oh, yeah.
And I knew. Yeah, I knew there was nobody in the bathroom with me, and there was nobody home. So I started to look in the mirror, and I looked down the hall, and there was these eyes in this banner. It was a Halloween banner, and I just exploded and went down the hall, shaking my finger at this banner, and I said, if I wasn't in your camp all those years ago, I'm certainly not now. I'm stronger and better and more God-fearing than I've ever been in my life. And he went away, and I said, don't come back, ever. I'm not yours. But when I was 12 and that happened, then other things started to happen. I was picking up on other spirits in the home and seeing furniture move and doors close, and so it kind of took off from there.
Anything in your life at that age you think that just triggered that,
Well, my mum and dad got divorced. I started seeing black cats in my room, and they started weaving in and out objects in my room, and I'd sit there and watch them each night. And at the end of it, I realised they were actually protecting me from something really evil, because in the end, they ended up shining a light onto my wall, and they were warning me of something. And I told my mum that we needed to get out of that house, and we did. And
Wow.
I've never seen them since.
But
Wow, that's very cool.
But I always wonder. You had this happen at 12. Now we talked earlier. You felt that probably you had this ability before 12. You were probably just really awakened to it at 12, right?
Absolutely. I knew before that I'd always felt watched in the house. I always, in certain parts of the house and in the basement, even though the basement was a walkout. So it was light and bright on the front part and dark and creepy in the back, and that's where I always felt watched. So I ignored it, like any other kid would ignore it. I just thought everybody kind of felt that and thought it was silly, so I went, moved past it. But it turns out years later that my brother and I compared notes, and he saw the same spirit that I saw, which was a little settler boy. We lived in an area where there was a lot of Native Americans and consequently settlers just outside of Detroit, about 45 miles. And I described this boy to my brother, and he was so blown away. By this time, we were both over 40, and we never had talked about it. You couldn't talk about it back then. There was nobody to believe you, or they'd drug you or put you away. And he just looked at me and he goes, "You're kidding. That wasn't my imagination." And I started to laugh. I was like, "No, you really saw a spirit." So it was really very cool. But so that started to happen. But I really think that I burst into all of this because of puberty. I think that was such a traumatic event for me.
Right. And they say, especially for girls, it can be a real big push for, Stephen King wrote a whole book on it called Carrie. I mean,
Yeah.
And it was traumatic for me when I read that book.
I started reading Stephen King when I was about 13.
No, I started with Cujo at the age of 8. My mom's like, "You can't read that." But anyway.
No kidding.
Yeah, I'm a big reader all my life. But it's so interesting that your real first encounter was this kind of. Do you want to say it was demonic?
Absolutely, I have no doubt. It was cloaked and creepy and grotesque.
Really, it had animalistic features to it.
It did, the face, and he stayed shadowed and stayed masked, and I mean, why else? If it was straightforward, why would it isolate me like that?
Right.
And put me in the dark, and I'm alone. I'm 12 years old, for Pete's sake.
Shut your door.
Nothing like terrorizing.
It like slammed your door shut.
It did.
Wow.
What woke me up was the clicking closed, so it was very subtle and very sneaky.
So
yeah.
Close and a click, and you're like, "Oh, what's going on here?"
I think they like to come into your life at a time when you're really, really vulnerable and confused, and you don't want to speak to your parents about anything at that age, do you? And they know for a fact that they can get to you.
So, and you felt like you didn't hear an actual voice, but you were like hearing it in your head, like when it was trying to communicate.
Yes.
I always
absolutely
the dynamics of this when people tell me their stories, because I've had my experience too, and I never ever heard a physical voice. It was like it talks right into your head, and it's the weirdest experience you can have beyond everything else you're having with it. But to have something like that, it's terrifying actually.
And it's my spirit guide will do the same thing, and she'll talk, and it's like it's between my skull and my brain, and occasionally it feels like it's between the skull and the skin, and it's just so in there that it's hard to tell somebody where it is.
So you're 12 years old, you have this happen, and then after that you just starting to see spirits in your home and wherever you're at, or?
Kind of, mostly in my home, but I still felt things when I would leave the house, but I totally just thought they were random and weird, so I would place them aside and ignore them, ignored them for many, many years. Then by the time I was in my 20s, I totally blocked everything for a good many years until I was about 30. And then I started realizing that I could also feel energy, which I would tell people when their phones were going to ring in their homes, because I could feel the energy coming down the side of the house.
Oh my God, I so know that.
Then,
I know that.
yeah.
I've that. Oh wow. Yeah, I thought of, I just thought it's it's just me and my craziness. Oh my God. Yeah, it's like I can feel it right before it's gonna ring.
It's like exactly the same. What you've said, Exie, is exactly how I've started. The same. It's just exactly the same.
Wow.
I saw those images from that one moment after me and my mum moved away from my father into this house. I saw those images, and then ever since then, that was it. I could see spirit ever since then, and it just seems to have developed now after the age of 30.
I've always had to agree on that. It happens to a lot of people I find, different mediums I've read about, or people, even the mediums I know and talk to, that they go through this time period in their life from the age of 20 to 30 where it's not happening. And they weren't, what I think is in that time in your life, you're so focused on your future and what you're going to do with your life. You're so in Wonderland, I guess you could say. You're not paying attention. And that's my only idea why it suddenly hits people in their 30s or 40s later in their life.
Yeah.
How things
I mean, we were a little more settled, and the brain's formed, the frontal lobes are in, and everything is good, and so you're not doing all of that. And I was dating my husband, got married, had a baby, and it was just, and then right after that was really when things kicked off, when I was about 34, 35.
Well, I've spent most of my 20s really, really, like bringing up my diabetic son, and my mind's just been totally focused on that. But now he's old enough to do it, look after himself in that respect. I'm sort of like more focusing now on, I don't know, on how I can see spirit, I suppose.
An inward reflection. It's time that you have in your life where you can reflect inward a little bit and maybe touch upon those things. So when it hit you again, you said in your 30s?
Yeah.
How did what happened at that start for you?
It was a friend of ours that just adored our son. He was like 2 to 3 years old, and he's just so cute, and she just adored him. So she would, kiss on him and stuff, and they were really, really close. She had a massive stroke. She was about 18 years older than me, and she had a massive stroke. I went to the hospital, snuck into the emergency to see her. I will never, ever do that again. And when I saw her and when I touched her arm, I knew that she was no longer there. And I was so confused. I didn't know how I knew that, but I just knew that body was empty. And came home, and I told my husband, and he looked at me and he said, "I hope you're wrong." And I said, "Oh, I do too." So the next day, just after dinner, we were cleaning up. Our son was in the high chair, and I picked up a plate, turned toward my husband. I turned to the left toward my husband in the kitchen, and there was a hand that was placed on my shoulder. It was beautiful, angelic, perfect, just opaque. It was gorgeous. And I felt a touch on my shoulder, and then saw this mass go up through the dining room ceiling and out. And I gasped. And my husband, who is very much a Carl Sagan freak, and thinks something's out there, but not sure what.
Right.
Looked at me and he said, "What?" Yeah, he couldn't believe it. He goes, "What did you see? What did you see?" And we couldn't say the name because our son would recognize who we were talking about. And I said, "Our friend, she's gone. I think she's passed." And not 2 seconds later, the phone rang, and it was her husband letting us know that she had died.
Wow.
Wow.
So you had that experience, and then so how did you start? Was that for you? Like, I want to learn more about it at that point in your life?
It was, and so I would work on it a little bit, and I'd try to meditate but I am so not a person that can meditate because I can. I give it about 2 seconds and then it's like, oh, shiny, and I'm off and running.
I've tried it many times.
It's horrible. So now I just kind of kick back. I don't try to meditate. I turn off everything in the house, lean back, and start to talk to my spirit guide and, tell me what I need to know kind of stuff. But so that was what happened then. And by the time I was in my mid-40s, my husband found my journals that I'd kept since I was 12 because I knew I couldn't tell anybody, so I wrote everything down.
Oh.
And he said, do something with these. So that was the first book.
Oh,
that was a quarter.
What's the title of that book again?
Well, Welcome to My Paranormal Life.
Welcome to My Paranormal Life. I love that.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's like the Paranormal Mice.
Thank you.
And you can get this on Amazon? Is it available on Amazon? E-read form too?
E-reader and paperback.
All right. I got to get my Kindle working again so I can get these books. Oh, I definitely want to read that. I just, I contacted her, Exie, on a Facebook site when I saw she said, yes, consideration. I thought her, she sounded very interesting, and I'm very interested in the subject of not just mediumship, but feeling energy, because it's one of those abilities I think I have that I can feel other people's energy.
Well, I don't know if I'm a medium or not, but everything that, Exie has said, I've experienced so far.
I think it's common to a lot more people than you think.
Yeah. But in my town, everyone thinks I'm crazy, so...
What are you going to say?
It's just nice to be able to talk to people that are experiencing the same things.
That's exactly why I do this show.
It is. That's why I go to conventions, and because it's just so nice to be able to go for a whole day and say what you need and what you want, and nobody looks at you like you're crazy.
That's what I do. I need to go to a convention one of these. Never been to a paranormal convention in my life. I've never been to a convention in my life. I'm a geek, and I've never even been to Comic-Con. I want to go to a paranormal convention so bad. Just to meet people. It's one reason I did my show. I'm isolated in my town here in Indiana, and I was like, I wanted to do something where I could reach out and meet new people and talk about this, and not be afraid to talk about it, and give other people that voice, on my little show. So thank you for coming on here and talking.
Well, thank you for asking.
So now, did you start doing investigating in that too, like going to ghost haunted houses and that, and doing investigations, or?
That's pretty new because I never had to go anywhere to have spirits show up. They came to me.
Right.
I had a psychic tell me one time, she goes, honey, you are such a little candle in the dark. She goes, they just want to see what that light is, and they come to you. So she taught me how to protect myself and how to prevent that from happening in my home, because I have a family and you don't know who comes and goes and who comes and stays.
Oh.
So it's not a good thing.
Yeah. When me and my wife started living together, when we lived in an apartment, but we got our own house, she's like, you bring stuff home. Stuff follows you. She started warding our house because of stuff that would happen. It wasn't for me. It was before we were ever investigating. It was just, I don't know. I've been told that, because I can have sometimes contact. Like I said, I'm not a psychic. I'm not a medium. I've just had these experiences. But I've been told that, things will try to talk to me because they know that I might hear them.
Sure, and they want to be heard. They are just out there blabbering away, and they're looking for people, anybody that will give somebody a message for them or give them assurance. And some of these spirits, they don't know they're dead either. So that brings up a whole new complication. And I learned that one the hard way. I broke a spirit's heart by telling, I'm like, well, what are you doing? You're dead. And they're like, what? So it was not a good thing. I'm learning to be a little more cautious and kind.
One of the first things I was taught by the guy who taught me how to investigate was you might not want to ask your EVP questions like, how did you die?
Mm-hmm.
Might be traumatic for the spirit, and it might shut down all communication for one. we always, when we do our EVP sessions, always try to avoid. It's hard to avoid that, because especially if you have details about the history and that, and you want to ask certain provocative questions. We don't provoke, but we want to ask provocative questions.
No.
Do it in a way though that doesn't go around like, well, how did you die, or anything along that terms that might knock the spirit into shutting up and breaking down. So, yeah, I definitely can see that as a problem. I want to mention to you.
Ghost hunting.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say ghost hunting has just kind of come along as an enjoyment and something. If I can help a spirit go home, then I offer. And a lot of people don't like the fact that I do that, and I think it's just kind of cruel if they're just there using them.
And that's what I hunt. I've heard people say, well, why were you going to do that? Well, if you have the ability to help somebody, they're a person on the other side. If you have the ability to help them cross over, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? They're not.
Ever since I've started this, I've got constant help me's all the time. Just ask, spirits asking for help, don't they?
They're wanting to talk for a reason. I think they're wanting to talk because they know in some way, us being on Earth, we have an ability they don't have on the other side to help them cross over. It's my guess. I don't know. It's just the formulated theory I have about it. But I think a lot of times they're trying to communicate because they need something from us to help them cross over sometimes. There are certain people that have that ability than others.
And sometimes they just hang around, or they for me, a ghost is someone that has stayed here. They died and stayed. They didn't go home. And a spirit is someone that has passed, gone home, and then comes back for whatever reason. Comes back to stay or just to visit.
That's a great way to define it, actually. I love that.
That's what little Jimmy does.
Little Jimmy.
I have to give credit to Chip
Coffee.
Go ahead.
No, I have to give credit to psychic medium Chip Coffee. He gave me those explanations, and I adore them, and I thought they were really, really good.
I've heard that before, too, in similar terms, but I think that was really beautifully put on how it might work. For me, I think one of the reasons I never dwelled into the slight abilities I have is because, one, I don't know if I'll ever be psychologically prepared to deal with what you deal with. And two, I ask too many questions. I guess I'm my biggest skeptic. So I don't know if I could believe everything I'd be hearing or seeing at times. So that's why I guess I'll admit it, a fear to dwell down it any further. An interest, I'm totally interested in it, but I fear it at times too.
And that's not a bad thing.
No. I want to get more into a little bit about your work and stories, but I just want to give people a little reminder here. In just a little bit, I am going to try to do the Skype open line. I saw David Coffin commented on YouTube, let me join. Or can I join in? Well, you can join in if you call into the Skype line. If you can get Skype working, David, you'll see my Skype ID here, oojblandoo. You can call in through that, and when I tell you to, just give it a little bit. We'll get to that here in probably about, I'd say, 20 minutes or more. But send me a contact request. I'll accept it, and then you can try calling in. If I miss you, I'll try calling you back. Because you'll call in, and I'll hit accept. You'll hear my audio, but I won't hear you until I turn my volume up. So just hang in there if you do call in at that time. So, Exie, so you started, what do you do as, the ghost hunting thing is something new, but as a energy reader and as a medium, how do you apply that in your life? What do you do helping people, I guess?
I have had people contact me looking for missing people. That one's a little newer. I've also had people contact me looking for missing heirlooms. A good friend of mine, her husband had a massive heart attack and died young and suddenly, and she was missing his wedding band. So I'd never done this, and I told her, I said, I will do what I can. I sat back on the couch, made the house quiet electronically, turned everything off, and I asked my spirit guide, I said, this woman needs our help. Can you please help me find her ring? And I've known her for, 15 to 18 years. Never been in her house. They never entertained. and all of a sudden I am in a kitchen, and I can see the cupboards and the counters, and there's a doorway ahead, and I know that that's the mudroom, and I know his truck is out there. He was a landscaper. And I know all of these things, and I don't know why I know this. And I look down on the counter, and there's a glowing circle, and I was like, oh my God, it's his ring, and it's behind the toaster. So I thank my spirit guide, and I get her on the phone, and I tell her these things, and I said, it's behind the white toaster on the counters, described her kitchen, and she said, oh, and she hung up. And I was so blown away. I was like, whoa, what are you doing? Yeah. So I gave her about an hour. I know. I was like, no, you can't do this. I thought I was afraid. Yeah, but I was also afraid that I'd said something wrong or was wrong. I'd never put myself out there like that. So I gave her about an hour, and I called her back, and she said, oh, and she goes, by the way, the toaster's silver. And I said, well, Spirit Guide showed me a white toaster. And I went, what do you mean? And she goes, I found it. She said he used to take his ring off every day when he'd go to work and put it on the counter by the toaster. He'd come home every day and put it back on. And they decided that that was silly, so they put them back in the original boxes in the bottom of her jewelry box. And she totally forgot she'd done that. Yeah. So my clues led to her. So things like that. Yeah. And if I can do that, then it means a lot.
Well, that's awesome. So you do now. How do people contact you?
I have. I'm on Twitter at Exie Paranormal, and I'm on Facebook, Exie Susanne Smith, and I also have I have that page, and then I have my Welcome to My Paranormal Life Facebook page. And I have an email address, exiparanormal@gmail.com. And pretty much, if you look up Exie Paranormal, you find me. And you try to, if somebody contacts you there, will you try to help them if they have a situation like that, a missing heirloom, or you do spirit like communication, like somebody really wants to get a communication with a past loved one? I will try. That's not something I've really gone into. I've kind of moved. I had thought about maybe doing some tarot. I had thought about doing some palmistry, and I haven't really gone there. I'm waiting for the path to open for me and to show me where I need to be and where I'm going. But what happens basically... Go ahead.
If you do try tarot, it's really interesting. I did it for a couple years experimenting. Had a frightening experience and I quit. So it's really interesting.
It is. I have a couple decks. I have a private deck and a public deck. But my son is actually a really good tarot reader. His readings are very, very close, but he's kind of just not paying attention to any of that. And he's in his 20s, so it's like, yep, here we go. Yep. But
years.
But mostly I get private IM messages every day, people asking me, okay, this is what I'm hearing or this is what I'm seeing, any advice, things like that. And I do my best to help them ferret things out and maybe to find a shaman to help them in their home, or sometimes it goes all the way to they need a priest, flat out need a priest.
Right.
But and my latest thing is looking at pictures. And I kind of can tell if your home is haunted from a picture.
I've known evidence of people that get really strong communication from looking or holding pictures. And my one really strong experience was from holding a picture of a guy in a casket, and his name popped out of my mouth, and I had no way of knowing his name at all.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't cool.
It's like you was possessed at that moment.
Well, that's how I felt because it just popped out of my mouth. I wasn't trying to do anything. The guy was showing me this picture of the stuff that was left in his house. So yeah, pictures can be very powerful, I guess. For an energy. We're reading an energy.
In one of my books, I talk about a woman. I saw a picture on her Facebook page, and I didn't even read the caption. I'm pretty famous for that. I skipped the important details. And I looked at this picture and I thought, wow, you've got a spirit. No, you've got a couple spirits in your house. And then I read the caption and it said, can anybody help me? So I typed her a private message. Yeah, I thought it was kind of creepy.
Right.
But I typed her a private, yeah, you know. So I typed her a private message and said that I had thought, and I told her I thought her house was haunted, that there was at least 2 spirits. One was a boy, one was a Native American male, and he was not very nice. And she said, well, she goes, no, I just thought maybe if somebody could help me. I haven't felt good for about 6 months. And I asked her how long she'd lived in that house, and she said about 6 months. And then I said, well, okay. So I'm thinking it's this Native American male. They're very powerful, and if they're angry, they can make you ill. I asked, yeah. What do you call it?
Ghost sickness.
Well, and that was it. So I asked her, I said, do you live near a cemetery or a church? And she was blown away. She goes, I live right next door to a church, and there's a cemetery behind it. And I said, well, I think you need to contact someone at that church to find out if they can help you. And so then she goes away for like a half day. I can't believe these people do this to me. And she goes, I called the church. They sent people over immediately. She goes, they were talking in tongues in my house, and they cleared my house. She took another picture, and she goes, I can't believe my house. It's brighter. It's lighter. I feel better already. And so she showed the picture. She posted it on Facebook. It looks like somebody opened all the blinds in her house. There was no more dark, no more fog. And so now I'll get messages from her occasionally. It's been almost a year, and I'll see her name pop up, and she'll send me an IM, and it'll be just a happy face. It's like, yes, that's so cool.
I was going to say, she had these people come in, and they start speaking in tongues. If somebody's never experienced that or seen that before, the people, I have friends that belong to church, and they strongly believe in the speaking in tongues. And I got to, they let me come to the church and witness it. If somebody's never seen that or knew anything about that and hasn't come to their house, it will take you back a bit.
Yeah, I had to look it up online. I didn't know what it meant, so I looked up the definition, and then I looked up a video, and I thought, oh my gosh, this poor girl.
Yeah, it's a whole other facet of a fascination for me. My friends, they got kicked out of their church in Texas because the mother never known anything about speaking in tongues or anything, but in the middle of service started speaking in tongues, and they kicked her out of the church. Pretty much kicked her out of the community. They moved up here. But it's all because, and so they joined a church that did it. They wanted to know more about it. The church they belonged to was totally against it. So it's an interesting subject. So and then these people cleared her house doing it. So that's really interesting.
That was fascinating, and that was one of the first times that I had done that. But I'll see news reports, and I'll see people on TV. And the one time I was in the kitchen, I was cooking dinner, and I looked up, and I couldn't hear the television. And I said to my husband, I said, "Oh, that's so sad that he's dead." And my husband turns and he looks at me and he goes, "No, he's just missing." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, I know. The next night the news comes on, and the young man was his family was in his mid-30s. They found him dead the next day. And my husband looked at me, he goes, "How'd you know that?" I was like, "I don't know. That was new."
So yeah, you seem like you pick up on visual things that you see, and it communicates to you somehow. I'm interested to know, too. So you mentioned a few times about your spirit guide. How did you develop that? Like, what got you on the path of, like, I've always been interested in the whole spirit guide thing. I believe I've met mine in my dreams, but I don't have
probably
communication with my spirit guide. But like, who's your spirit guide for one, and like, how did you meet them? How did that process happen? I'm always interested to know that for people that say they have a spirit guide, they have a strong connection to communicating with.
Well, it's a woman, and my spirit guide. I know I've had more than one, and they will change according to what you were doing in your life, but they change by need. and what they do best for you. I know this is a woman. I do not know her name. I keep asking, and I don't hear a name. I just sat back and I kind of tried to listen to her. I've tried to listen for years. And I thought, you know what, okay, if I can't hear you, then maybe that's not my cue. Maybe I need to see what you're trying to tell me. So occasionally that'll work. She'll tell me, like, or show me a visual, like of my friend's home with the ring. And but I get a lot of messages through music. And I'll ask a question, and I'll get in the car, and this first song that comes on, and I'm always thinking, well, that's a coincidence. And if I say it out loud, I go to the next station, and the song is playing from the exact same spot, and it's the exact same song.
I've had that experience.
So I know.
I've had that experience. Oh,
I've never ever found out my spirit guide's name, and every time I try and ask, they just try and prove that they're there by giving me synchronicities and things like that. They don't actually tell me their name. They just try and prove themselves to me.
Synchronicity is a big part in this. I think of communication. Just things you just like. It's so odd. The things, especially if you just look at your life, like how certain things connected, how you met the person you love, and just different synchronicities. Like I don't know. That's another topic of fascination for me and even with the.
Me too.
The one dark experience I had, pretty much one dark experience I had that pushed me into the world of paranormal when I was 17. There were so many odd synchronicities with that one. It reminds me, whenever I see the Mothman, I think of my experience because they had a lot of synchronicities and weird stuff. You wonder how do spirits line that up? That's some major reality manipulation to make things sync. They have a radio song come on at that right time with that right meaning, and then put it on another channel. How? How space-time continuum are they pulling that off? It boggles the mind.
Exactly, because that's how I finally. My first book that I ever wrote was a children's book. I had left my job in the school district. I had my 10 years in. I could get my money. I walked. I was like, I'm out of here. And I want to write. I needed to write. And that was the wrong book. And all of a sudden in my head, all I could hear was this song. I can't remember the title of the song, but in it was wording of "The rest is still unwritten." And it's not a new song at all. It was rather old. And I kept hearing that, and I'm like, but the story is written. So I got in the car the one day, the song came on, went to the store, walked into the store, the song was playing in the store at the exact same spot that I got in the car. Leave the store, get in the car, turn it on, the song plays again from that exact same spot. And I was like, okay, I get the message. Right. I came home and I started this first book, the paranormal book. And the minute I sat down, because I had to handwrite it, I just had this weird stigma about typing it. The minute I started it and I wrote the title on the paper, the energy in my house went through the roof. It was like somebody was holding a party down the hallway. There was bangs and crashes and noise, and I was waiting for trumpets. And so I looked up and I told him, I said, okay, you got my butt in the chair. Now you need to shut up because I need to start. And the house went dead silent. And it was the most bizarre thing.
It's like the minute you admit to yourself that it's, it's got to be them, you can actually feel the party that they're feeling as well. It's really weird.
All right, real quick, I'm going to let people know, we're going to keep talking here, but if you want to call in now, you can. If you had a question for Exie about her, something you've experienced or something you would like to hear, you'd be willing to give people some advice if they have some questions at all?
Absolutely. Okay,
so yeah, if you got some, you want to come on and tell your story to Exie and get her take on it, feel free to call in. I don't know if we'll get any callers. My one time I did open lines, I had 2 callers, and they're 2 people I knew. People that watch the show that I know always watch the show. But, David Coffin, I saw you trying to hop on. This night I set up for Skype call-in, so if you can get Skype set up, it's oojblandoo. That is my Skype ID. Send me a contact request. I'll accept it and give me a call. know there was somebody else too that just sent me a contact request too. Oh, here we go. Okay, we got somebody. All right, you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, what's your name? Just first name.
Tyler.
Tyler, I know who this is. Okay.
What's
Yeah.
up, buddy?
How's it going? Thank you for calling in, Tyler.
Yeah, I'm just giving it a shot. I thought I'd be the first guy to call in.
Well, thank you very much. Might be the only one too. I don't know, but hey, thank you for calling in. I'm trying to get this phone thing going. So, so you have any questions for Exie? Have you been listening?
Yes, I missed out maybe like 3-4 minutes. I had to take my girlfriend to work real quick, so I just happened to stop in at the right time. So.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, go ahead, man.
I'm just newly into investigations and just getting in touch with my gift. So you kind of remind me of my grandmother, and she's very church going, and I was raised up as a Christian, but I kind of have my own views in it. I don't go to church every day, but I do have a spiritual side of me. Recently, I've been having some good stuff happen to me. I have night terrors. I feel when spirits naturally, especially attack me. If it makes sense.
He's breaking up.
Yeah, it's breaking up a little bit.
Breaking up a little bit. Maybe if I close out my YouTube thing because it's echoing.
Oh yeah, it's just like a radio show. You gotta turn the radio off, man.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
There we go.
It'll help your single too.
It might be my single too. I apologize there.
It's all right.
I don't know what all you guys heard there. Just
about
like
the night terrors you're having, and that
the night terrors, yes, especially. Sometimes it would be almost lifelike. And I've actually had a couple incidences where apparitions actually appeared in front of me, and for instance, like I've had a relationship pass away on me, and she wanted me to go and get a poster that she made for her graduation, and she was showing it to me when she was alive and all that stuff. And I didn't want to go into her house because that's breaking and entering, and I knew where it was at, and I kind of was in a rush. I told her dad where it was at, and he found it and used it in her funeral. And I didn't tell him exactly how I found it because it was too soon to tell him, and I don't want to crush that family, It's,
right.
Out of respect, and it was so real how she appeared in front of me. And I screamed on top of my lungs, and my friends jumped out of their rooms, and she was gone. My friends were just astonished.
They saw her?
They felt the energy of her presence, and they were all white, pale white, like I was.
So Exie, somebody is going through this that's having something like this, like night terrors. Do you think his your girlfriend that you passed away, which I'm very sorry for your loss.
It's all good. She was an ex-girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I was so excited how the coincidence of her passing was to experience all that. So the energy of that really hit me for some reason.
Actually, my question is, actually, for somebody that's going through and he's getting night terrors like this, do you think a spirit like her and his experience that he had could have opened him up?
Oh, absolutely. I think she trusted him, and she knew that Tyler has a gift, and so she came to him to get. It's an ends to a means. She needed something. She needed that poster. She wanted it at the funeral, and she trusted Tyler to be able to do that, to hear her and to communicate with his family, which was really a beautiful thing. All in all, I mean, there was trust there and love, and you did it. That was really cool.
I didn't show up to her funeral. I didn't have time. I was in Job Corps at the time, and there was a forest fire going on, and they called me to go back. So I couldn't even go to the funeral to even, experience her that closure in my life. But it was still so like something I always remember. For example, of my talent that I want to use to help. You know, I'm out there.
Well, you weren't supposed to go to the funeral.
I wasn't.
So it's okay. No, you weren't supposed to go to the funeral. And are you in a new apartment or home?
Yes, I'm a traveler. I'm in a relationship. I just started a new relationship.
Because that.
Yep.
Sometimes in a new location, there'll be spirit, and some spirit don't like men, or just change. And so I'm wondering if it's not something like that. If there's something in that home.
I had a cat attack me in my sleep, and I was biting in my hand, and I was smacking my bed. Luckily, my girlfriend works nights, and she's not, in bed with me. And it's only when she's gone too. That's another thing I've been noticing with this.
Of course. Of course it is. So, do you know what it is to sage a home?
I have fresh sage, actually. I burn it.
Okay. I think it would be a really good thing. Look up a couple of Native American chants, or if you have something from your Christian beliefs that you could say a prayer, I would do that. And burn the sage in the home, go everywhere, high, low, closets, behind doors, open the attic if there's an attic, basement, and tell these spirits that it's not welcome. You're being hurt, and you're losing sleep, and it's terrifying, and now you're being hurt, and that's wrong, and you don't have to put up with it.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for calling, Tyler. One thing I want to mention with sage, though, is something I found, and my wife always makes to remind people of this. You need fresh. Don't leave the sage in your house. You need to bring in fresh sage when you plan on doing it.
I've been trying to dry it out. I've been trying to dry it out so it burns better. I buy fresh sage at the store.
Yeah, it's just if you leave it sitting in your house, the theory is the energies are absorbing into it that are already in the house, and it kind of nullifies it.
Oh, wow.
A bit like when you chop an onion up.
Exie, go ahead.
No, and what he really wants is white sage, so he needs to go to a metaphysical store and buy a bundle of sage there, or loose sage, and you can burn it into a shell or an ashtray or a pot. And but I like it in the bundle, and carry a plate or something underneath it, and wave. I have a large feather, but you can use pretty much anything to wave so that the sage it just disperses better. But yes, I agree that just getting rid of the sage is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard using sage is good in oils too, but I don't know what else to go farther than that. I just know I get attacked. And it's happened since I was a kid, so it's just something that
well, you've got something following you, and you need to shake it.
I attempted suicide when I was in 8th grade, and it's followed me for years, and I shake it off, but it always comes back.
That's so young.
Well, that's very young, and maybe even too go have a blessing by a priest or a shaman.
I've been going through all that spiritual stuff, and it's just something I've been shaking all my life. It's just something that's really hard. I don't know how to explain it.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Just don't stop trying.
Yeah.
Like you guys were talking earlier, and I also I was asking Jason. I was like, I've been noticing a lot of manifestations. It's been getting to me inside my head. I remember about my death experience about that, and I was asking him about the orbs and what's your theories on that, and I've been watching some clips on some Huff stuff, and I was watching, and I noticed a manifestation going into a crystal into the box, and I was like, wow, man, this is something that I can't believe I I don't know if anybody else is picking up on that, but I've been noticing some stuff like that. So.
Well, Tyler, my thing on orbs is I think there, our Midwest Paranormal has a big orb, says orbs and a big cross through it. Is that 90% of the time when you see orbs in video, it's dust, and it's light refraction off of dust. But I will say this: there is something to it, and there is something to the phenomenon because I have Katrina Cooper I've had on the show as a medium. She's got pictures of her pointing, and there it is, right at the tip of her finger. My friend David Fernandez has got his medium he works with who's doing this, like he's holding his hands, and the orb appears right there. There's something to it. And my thing is, if ghosts can manifest themselves with electromagnetic energy, which is static electricity, what's going to be attracted to that? Dust in the air. So there could be something to it. The only problem with it is that it's hard to prove because it can be recreated with a dust rag in front of a camera. You can see all billions of orbs. And watching tons of DVR footage that I have, I see an orb show, for hours of dust. But there's something to it. And I've seen evidence of, like you said, Steve Huff's video of it flying in the crystal. I've seen video of these things flying into a recorder right as an EVPs end up being recorded.
Yeah.
But hey, Tyler, thank you for calling in.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, be safe. Like Exie said, you need to look into probably getting somebody to help you. You can't do it on your own.
I know it's hard, man.
Yeah. Well,
it's scary to talk about because people are like, you need to get on medications, and I'm like, no, I'm okay.
Well, I always say this: there's two avenues you should go down. You should seek. I did. When I went through my dark experience, I went to a psychologist. I'm not saying that's going to help you. I went to one. It didn't help me, but I think it's something you should try just to see. The reason it helped me is I couldn't open up about it, because you're afraid what they're going to think.
Study. If I could do a sleep study, I'm telling you, I will stun America. And I get people that laugh at me about my sleep.
But you should, if you're having night terrors and stuff, always go down the medical route as well. You should always get yourself checked out, make sure there's nothing else wrong. And at the same time, there are people you can find that will help you. There are people out there like Exie here that will help you try to get through this, because it could definitely, what you sound like you've gone through something spiritual. Definitely looking to get the help, and hit me up on Facebook if you have other questions. Sorry I didn't get to answer you earlier, man. I tried to set up for my show, and I got other people message me.
Oh man,
I figured I'd get you to call in.
That's hard, dude. Yeah. This out there, maybe someone out there's like me, Well,
and just let me know if you got any other questions. Just hit me up on Facebook. Thanks, Tyler, for calling in.
All right, thank you, Jason.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Night.
Well, that went pretty good for my first call.
Congratulations, that was great.
Congratulations.
Probably the only one I'll get tonight. I'm trying to get one other guy. He's wanting to get an invite in here, but I don't have. It's David Coffin. I've had him on Facebook. I know he's on Cat Angel's show, or in their chat thing. I've seen him talking there. I'd love to have him come on. I don't know your Google link to have you join our Google Hangout. But I do, easiest way right now for you to get on, if you're still watching, David, is to call in on the Skype ID or anybody else. And just remember, if I'm on the line with somebody else and you try to call in, I think it just dials out. It doesn't let you get on, so just try again. So if anybody else wants to call, you can, but we can keep on talking while we wait and see if anybody else calls in. So do you run across many people with these kind of, that kind of experiences, like, night terrors, or what I call spiritual confusion? They don't know what to think, what's happening.
I like that. That's well put. Yes, I do many at conventions. They come across the table and we'll talk for a bit, but there's only so much time at a convention.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I refer them to my email or an IM on Facebook, and we can chat that way, freer and easier. So yeah, there's a lot of confusion because it's not a clear-cut thing.
No.
And it's not something that there's answers or you can't go to the doctor, doc, I don't feel good, this is what's going on. It's not that clear cut, and like this gentleman, they tend to ignore it, and it starts to build up. And that's not good.
No.
It's just like being, it's just like when you need to go to the doctor, and if you wait, you just get sicker. You don't get better.
Yeah, I'm the worst.
On your own. And
but
yeah, me too.
20 years later, I'm still confused. I'm more settled than I was 20 years ago. But when I was 17 and I had my dark experience, I've talked about it on this show before, but I ran across what I call a shadow person. I don't like to say it was demonic because I really feel like it could be something different. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, this scene got so bad, and it was in my dreams. I would see it awake, like right out in front of me. Like it wasn't like, a lot of people's shadow experiences, they see them out of the corner of their eye. I was seeing it full-fledged on in front of me. And 2 other people were going through these same experiences as I was because we went out to a location where there was we didn't have time. There was a lot of mysterious deaths on these tracks that were cross tracks, which you say crossroads, and cross tracks can be portals. I don't know.
Sounds like some kind of attraction to you or something, attachment.
But this thing really messed with me for a good 4 months, and like I said, it was showing me stuff that it showed me that my girlfriend was cheating on me, and I didn't really think she was at that time. But I came to find out what it showed me was like exactly the direct scene of what happened, like her out with another guy and them kissing in a car. It was exactly what happened. It showed me that and laughed at me. I think it killed my cat, because the cat time. I woke up with a weird circle or mark on my face, like a burn mark. It was perfect circle. I have no idea.
Like a cigarette?
Yeah, and nobody smoked in my house. I started smoking though. That's when I picked up my bad habit. This thing, my nerves were shot, and it all ended one night when it levitated me up off my bed and threw me down 3 times. And on the 3rd time, I bounced off my bed, and there was just like a flash of light, and I saw an older man in my room with like glasses, and he, I think, was my great-grandfather because I've seen pictures of him afterwards. And I swear, whatever it was, he kicked its butt right on out. I've never been, I don't want to say never been bothered by it since. I have seen it, but it's kept its distance from me. Spiritual confusion, man. I was confused. I was completely just terrified. I went after that experience, even though it left me alone. I was going months where I was not sleeping at all. Sorry, I'm looking at comments here from somebody who is trying to join us, but he wants to try to get onto Google Hangouts, and I don't know if I can get him because I don't know if I have him in my circles. Will not let me tell you my. Will not let me tell you my Skype. Well, don't tell me your Skype, David. All you have to do, David, if you're watching, is type in, search for me, oojblandoo, and that's my Skype ID. You type that in, search for me, send me a contact request, and then I can get you on. You just call me after contact request. That goes for anybody. If anybody wants to join me, feel free. If you want to comment on anything we're talking about tonight. But yeah, my experience was, highly negative in that 4-month time, and being an investigator now.
It was terrifying.
Yeah, and there was all these other synchronicities. It's a long story. I feel bad if I tell it again because I've told it on my show before, but there was weird synchronicities to that. Like the night we were out at the train tracks. We went out there because a year before we were at a party, and me and my friend at separate locations saw a shadow moving and following us. So we went out there the night after Halloween. The weird synchronicities is we're at this location. At the same time, his dad's at this bar. And his dad, for some reason, doesn't know why, just turns to the guy next to him and goes, "Do you remember those 3 kids that got killed out by those tracks 30 years ago?" And the guy turns to him and goes, "Yeah, one of them was my daughter." And it was the same night we were out there. When we all got this all tied like weeks later and his dad found this out, it was like they made me come over to their house and him swearing never to go out there ever again. Because my friend, he was being terrorized too. Like he could not sleep and all kinds of bad stuff. So it's just weird, those synchronicities like that. Like his dad's out there at the same time, says that out of the blue, doesn't know why. It frightened him. Like, why did I just say this to this complete stranger? And he happens to be this girl. Like, it really messed with his dad. It scared him.
Yeah.
Just weird synchronicities like that. You just don't understand. What's the meaning?
No, that's wild. I've always said, I never believed in coincidence. Everything happens for a reason, and that just proves it. And maybe we're not the only ones driving the bus. You know what I mean? We're not the only ones.
No, there's definitely else something there guided us.
What's the roles our spirit playing in on this? How far can they go to protect us? From ourselves. And
sometimes if they don't, then you that proved you had a relative step in.
Right. Well, I honestly think he is kind of like a spirit guide, to my mother and me.
Absolutely.
He saw a medium a very reputable medium in our town who's passed away many years ago, told that to my mom. She knew stuff. There's just crazy, the stuff she knew. I mean, she was so dead on with stuff. It's incredible. My mom didn't even go to her to get a reading. She went with a friend who was getting a reading, and she couldn't read for her friend. And says, "I need to talk to your She needed to talk to my mom. It's just what she said, and told her all kinds of stuff. And she told me, her grandfather, my great grandfather, was watching over us, and I really believe that it was him has kicked its butt right out of the room.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
I feel lucky too when you hear about everybody else's experiences with demonic or shadow people. It's a lot to get these things unattached. Yeah.
Well, and that's we've had a shadow person in here for years, but it was the guy we bought the house from, and he was just a really nice old guy. But that's how my gift showed him to me, was in shadow form. And I could see his total outline, and it was him, and I never was afraid of him. It was not, ever a bad thing.
Right. Well, this shadow person, it was something to be afraid of. You felt it.
Oh, absolutely.
I think a lot of shadows are just regular spirits. This is our perception. But the phenomenon of shadow people, like the little shadow people and the tall shadow people and the negative experiences, is a whole other phenomenon. And it almost feels alien-like. It's demonic, which is, kind of has certain things to it that it does, mocking the Trinity and, by the three scratches and other stuff. There's just certain things that happen in a demonic field, but they don't happen with the shadow people. Shadow people is like a whole weird, different experience. I guess I got really once this happened to me, I started trying to find anything I could on it, which wasn't very much back then. Now it's a lot more, and some of the stuff people talk about is this way out there, and some of the stuff is just experiences like what I had. It's hard to read. It's hard to read through what really is going on with the whole shadow people experience. Are they demonic? Are they interdimensional something? Or are they just negative spirits that have just gone bad? Spirits are bad. It sounds like a spoof on Girls Gone.
Who knows?
Well, and because that was so bizarre too. When we just investigated that yacht club, and there was a shadow person that rose up behind my friend, one of my partners in crime there, and this thing was huge. I've never seen a shadow person that did not really have an outline of arms and a distinction. And this thing must have been 7 feet tall, and it just rose up behind her. And I looked, and so then maybe 10 minutes after that, one of the other girls in our group, she felt a brush against her leg, and her leg started to bleed.
Ooh.
And then once we cleaned her up, there was so much blood. But what was really creepy, it looked like there was 2 finger marks had been traced down the side of her leg. We cleaned her up, she cleaned herself up, and there was no scratch, no cut, nothing. So we go back.
No scratch.
Nothing. We go back to our investigation. Maybe 5-6 minutes, she goes, okay, I felt a brush on my other leg, and we look, and there's a trickle of blood starting in the middle of her leg.
Whoa.
No scratch, nothing. So we kept checking it over the next few hours. Never bled again, but there was no mark.
That is crazy. Now, okay, so I got to know. You said this, what was this place again?
It's the Toledo Yacht Club.
So what's the history behind this place?
Really old. It's gorgeous, and that the time of the balls and the dances and the yachting, and it was all a part of that, and the cocktails, and so the place was really cool, but then also they had areas of it that they would rent out rooms to sailors, to people that were coming and passing through. That lent itself to a little bit of a dark area in the building. There was, what else happened in this place? Oh my gosh, there was so much. There was a shadow that followed one of the people. We were in the ladies' lounge, and they had like makeup area, and the time gone by. I looked out in the hall, and I could see one of the ghost hunt team members coming toward me. I could see his shadow, and then up behind him popped a second shadow, and it was like dancing behind him. This guy starts to trot because he knows there's something behind him, and he's getting a little nervous about it. He comes ripping into this room, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, that was so creepy." And I said, "Was there somebody with you?" And he goes, "No, not alive." And I said, "Oh, well, I could see his shadow on the wall. It was coming closer and closer to you." He was really freaked out about it. He goes, "I know, I could feel it getting closer." And so just wild stuff. That was the one too. There was a spirit in the basement, and I knew it was male. And we had the spirit box on, and I said, "I know you're a male, and I know you're down here. Why don't you talk to us, and if there's something we can help you with?" And he told me to, and not so nicely, to frack off. And we started to laugh. We just cracked up. I was like, wow, I never had a spirit swear at me. So I was pretty impressed. And then in my head, I said, "Oh, your name is Sid. Your name is Sid." And in the spirit box comes back to me and goes, "Maybe." And I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. I said, I got you.
What kind of spirit box were you? Curious. Tech guy here.
I don't know. This was one of Brian, one of the guys in our group, and I don't know what he has. I will try to find out, and I'll let you know.
I'm just curious, because the ITC thing and all that I do with ITC Collective. I always want to know, like, what kind of spirit box communication you're using. I always like to hear what people are using. Probably is the most common is the SB7. And I was gonna say, if he's using like a regular Radio 1, and if you get cussing through it, that's pretty legit, because you're not going to find that on AM/FM channel.
Nope.
No, and not
spirit box.
It was pretty sweet. We laughed, and then when we were upstairs and we were in that ladies' lounge, the spirit just kept going, "Exie, Exie."
No,
they were like, "Well, we know she's in here. Who else is in here?" And then the guy that with the spirit box downstairs, this one was over the computer. It was great because it was clearer, and so it says this guy's name, Brian. We just all laughed. It was pretty cool.
So, was there any like tragic deaths at this place, or anything that would lead to?
I don't remember. I really don't remember.
You like to get any information either, so.
No, we didn't get any information, and that was the way I wanted it. But the three of us, the three women in this group, we got out of the car in the parking lot, and we got immediate headaches across this exact same spot in our forehead. All of us get out of the car, and we're like, "Oh, my head hurts," and we're gripping our heads in the exact same spot. So it was like, uh-oh. I think we're in for an interesting evening.
That's what I was going to say. It's going to be interesting. You're all suddenly getting the same kind of headache. I know you can't give details of people. What is your most interesting person that you've ever helped? Interesting case, I guess.
Well, I'm currently helping a spirit who is my great uncle. Oh. He came attached to a frame that I have. It's a picture of he and his sister. Well, his sister is my grandmother. And so I'm trying to help him I've kicked him out of the house, and he was in the attic, and I had to make him leave. I've salted the frame, so he's in the garage in a tall kitchen garbage bag, which seems a shame for such a great man. But he died of sinus cancer that it went into his brain and ate half of his head away.
Oh.
So he didn't die. Yeah, he didn't die all that healthy mentally.
Hey, we got another phone call right here, so we'll come back in a second.
Nice.
David, you finally figured it out.
Yeah, I think so.
So I know I was trying to help you figure out how to get on here. I was like, it's got to get the Skype ID working.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. We planned on having people call in while we talk. That's not a problem, David.
And I'm trying to figure out whether or not you see my picture or the video.
No. This is what this is it's a Skype line that goes through my mixer. So only thing people hear is the audio. They don't see your picture. I don't see you even because it's all through my phone. Skype hates my computer. It doesn't want to work on my computer. So it actually crashed really bad. I'm working on it. Just so people know, I'm working on doing something like Bill and Cat Angel have done, where they have YouTube Live and you can have a chat thing. The only reason I don't is because I can't get Skype to work on my computer. That's the only reason I haven't done that yet. I really want to get chat working because I love the interactions on those channels. So, David, did you have a question for Exie?
I had a question for the gentleman that was on, but he signed off.
Oh, you're talking about Tyler?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was just a caller in. So, but I'm sure he's still listening. So, he might answer back, or he might call back. It's up to him. What was your question?
I was wondering what the connection was between the family and him.
With the girlfriend that died?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question, because they were separated, they weren't together anymore, that he might have had a connection with him. That's a really good question. I don't know if he's at a point in his life that he would know that. He seems like he's going through quite a bit. But that is a very interesting question. You have any thoughts on that, Exie?
Well, I just think that once you give your love and you give your heart to someone, you never get it all back. You always leave a piece with every person you've ever met or had love and affection with. That's something that is always there, and I think that she knew that. I think that they had a close enough bond that she could trust him, and she needed him to help her, and thought that he would do that for her, and he did.
So, David, I'm interested to ask you. I saw you on Kat's channel and that. You seem to like the paranormal shows. What got you interested in the paranormal?
Actually, it's kind of interesting because my mother and my adopted grandma all had second sight. And I've always wondered if somebody who grew up with that second sight recognized other people who might have the same thing.
That's a good question, actually. Exie, do you believe that you're able to meet other people and go, oh yeah, you got something like that?
I've done it, yes, and had it happen to me.
I've had it happen to me.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, well, Exie said she had it happen to her. I felt like I've met people I don't know if I've ever met. I'm not developed like that to know if somebody else has any ability. But I've had people come to me and say, "You got something," more than a number of times, and never knew I was in the paranormal or anything. David, do you feel like you feel like people you've met people that have that ability?
One of the reasons I wonder is my adopted grandma. She had second sight on knowing when somebody was hurt in the family, whether it was a cousin, a brother, a sister, or anything. This was back in the 50s, and she knew 2 days before the telegraph got there.
I've heard these stories, of people and families or having a family member that would always know before somebody was going to die or know when they died, no matter where they were. It's such a common story, that there's certain people in the family that get these abilities to be in touch.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't so much a death. Even if they got hurt,
She knew.
she would.
Right. That too. Yeah.
She would be doing the dishes and turn to my mom or my aunt and say, such and such got hurt today.
Wow.
And 2 days later, they would get the telegram telling them that their family member got hurt.
Wow. Yeah, and I've heard stories like that, countless stories of people with those kinds of experiences. So, David, do you feel like you have any of these inherited abilities at all?
I feel that it is a matter of how close you are to being grounded.
Mm.
Because my maternal mom, like I said, I'm adopted. My maternal mom once told me when I was talking to her on the phone that I have 15 minutes to talk to my brother, and 15 minutes later my phone turned off.
Oh, wow.
And so, I mean, that's another indication of being that close to maybe nature or being that close to the earth that we know those.
Well, thank you for calling in and sharing that story, especially about your mother. We're having a little bit of echoing problems. So I'm going to end up letting you go because it's gonna get worse. It's the speed of the signal we're losing.
Bummer.
Yeah. Anytime, if you find me on Google Hangouts, I can get you on to the Hangouts thing too. Just find me on Google Hangouts, add me to a circle or whatever, and then that way I can look you up.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in, David. I don't have to let you go just yet. I mean, I just know as we go, the echoing can get worse. But did you have anything else you wanted to ask, Exie?
I was wondering, like I said on the one before, it has to matter with, was there a foreknowledge?
Foreknowledge of that group? For
what was going on? Did they know or have an idea that might happen?
You talking about with the previous caller, Tyler?
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't sound like it. It didn't sound like he knew anything beforehand. No, it's just that she reached out to him as soon as she asked. So I think for him that was his.
That's my take too.
Yeah. And I'm experiencing that right now with somebody else. I just did an investigation for a strange a spirit that he has no connection to reached out to him, and he's in his he's almost 50, and now he's seeing spirits everywhere. I think sometimes spirits can open people up. They'll be totally not psychic medium person at all, or see anything, and then a spirit finds something in them and opens it up, and now they're seeing and talking, hearing spirits on a regular basis. So I think that's a big possibility, one factor in it. Well, thank you, David.
I also feel that being a native or being close to Earth has a major thing to do with it, because one of the things I want to let be known is when I went up to Alaska in 2008 to see where I was born, I met my uncle. And when I knocked on his door, he opened the door, took 2 steps back, and took a second look at myself and said, hello, David. And when I introduced myself, he sat there and said, we have been waiting for you all summer. We just did not know when you were here. So it's a matter of being...
Oh, I think we lost him. You still there, David? That's what I was afraid of. That's a signal. I can hear it when it gets worse because the echoing gets worse because we're losing the signal. Yeah.
I agree with David, though, about
Sorry.
Earth and...
You there, Exie? I'm not losing you, am I?
Yes.
Okay.
No, but I agree with David. I think that because I'm a Mother Earth girl, and I need to be barefoot and I need to connect to the energy, and I garden and play in the dirt because I really connect that way. And I agree with him that there are vibrations and energies through the earth.
I was going to mention Tyler commented while we were talking there that his seen spirits all ever since he was a kid. So I guess that wasn't his awakening. I think that was just his realization. Yeah.
Yes.
It would have been serious for him.
Yeah, I just think that Tyler needs to get some help. I think there could be a possession thing happening here there as well.
Right. One of the things I recommend to people, I'm no expert, but just trying to be friends and try to help people as best I can, is that find a way to ground yourself. Like, we talk about being close to Earth to be more spiritual and see stuff, but I think at the same time, you have to way to bring yourself back down and your energy back to a normal level to ground yourself, you're crazy.
Yes, exactly, and that's why I'll be at a convention, and people that know me and do convention, we are on the same circuit. They just start to laugh because they'll look over and all of a sudden my shoes are off and I'm walking around barefoot, and they know I've had it and I need to reconnect and I need to ground myself, and they just chuckle.
That's another one. I always forget that one to tell, because I try to find ways to suggest to people how to ground themselves. I'm like, just sitting down and drinking a cup of tea and getting yourself back, to reality.
Yeah, Adam knows all about cups of tea, don't you, Adam?
Me and Lisa are chatting, and she's like, I'm making a cup of tea. I'm like, that's what I'm doing right now, too. I'm a constant tea drinker. I even have my Arizona going right now.
I wonder.
But, I even heard Jason Hawes, I read from Ghost Hunters, wrote his book. He had an experience in his life I always found really interesting where he did Reiki. Somebody wanted to do Reiki on him, and after they did it, he was like seeing and hearing stuff, spirits all over the place.
Absolutely.
And he was making him go crazy. And some lady out of the blue, just didn't know her, walked up to him and said, I know what you're seeing. I know what's going on with you. She's like, this is what you need to do. And he's like, what are you talking about? I know you see people. I know you see people that aren't there, and you're hearing voices. Your energy's way out of balance. She's like, she told him to eat green olives, and she said it'll ground you. It will stop it. And he said he started eating the green olives, and it all went away.
Oh, I had the green olive, and
I hate olives. Somebody came in with that suggestion. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I guess I'll still see the spirits. I don't know. I might lose my mind, but I don't like the olives.
I'd want to know if I could have the green olives with the Bloody Mary.
Right. You might need both if you're seeing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm pretty proud. We got 2 callers in tonight with some interesting stories. David, I knew we were going to lose you. As soon as I start hearing that signal start to feed back like that, it's losing time. So it's like losing connection, sadly. So that's why I was like, I know we're going to lose you, so I didn't want to have him get cut off. I was going to just say, okay, goodbye. But he got really interesting. He had some really interesting stuff to say.
Yeah, he did.
And come Halloween, I'm going to do a Halloween show. And Lisa's going to be there. We're going to get dressed up. And I hope they have a couple other friends. And I want to do an open lines night. It's always been my dream. I'm a big fan of Art Bell, and he always did open lines coast to coast. I'd love anybody to call in with any of their ghost stories, even UFO stories. I don't care. You know, it falls on Halloween too. To call in and tell me their stories. So if I get 2 callers, I'll be happy that night. The evidence. But hey, thank you so much for coming on the show, Exie. You have been awesome. You've been wonderful. Especially talking, for me, you nailed a few, some of the stuff you talked about in your, hearing the phone or knowing the phone's going to ring before it did. That's like, that's so on cue to stuff that I've had that I've thought I was crazy, So
I did too.
I titled this episode "Life as a Medium and a Energy Reader" because it's really it's a life you live, and I think more people experience these things than they like to admit. You're open. You've dwelled into it enough. You talk enough about it. I think these things happen to people quite often.
They do. Yep, I agree.
I bet a lot of people think that they're crazy.
Yeah. I know that. There's plenty of times I'm like, "Boy, you're a nutter." I think to myself. But you get the thing where you see somebody, you think you see somebody. Here's one for people. I know people have had this. You think you see somebody in a crowd or driving by in a car. Oh, it wasn't.
I told you that day. Do you remember?
Yeah, we were talking about it. That's why I'm bringing it up, because this happens to me all the time. You think you see somebody driving by, and it's not them.
I know.
2 minutes later, there's the person you thought you saw.
Yep. It happens to me all the time.
Now, is that what you've experienced, Exie?
Yes. Yeah. My husband and I do that all the time, and we will run into people, or then he'll get a phone call from somebody that he hasn't talked to in 6 months or a year. And he'll look at me and he'll go, "All right, you have to cut this out." And I said, "You did it. I didn't do it."
Yeah, it's like they appear out the blue, and there's no way you've not even thought about them for ages, and then there they are. You don't see them because it's not them, but then 10 minutes later they appear.
Yeah. That's what you have to be careful. What you put into the universe is what you get out of the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a worrywart and anxiety-filled person,
I'm
battling that all the time. I'm trying to put positive out. Good things happen to me. In my back of my mind is all like, yeah, you could lose your job and things are going to go really crappy and like.
Oh, stop.
Oh God!
It's really my mother's voice in my head because I get my worrywartness from her. Like your car's gonna break down. I honestly totally believe what you put out in the universe. And being positive is legit. That you need to do that, but there's a part of me that fights it to no end. There's the skeptical a-hole in me or the pessimist. It's like. Go away. I can't
put pops into your head and you're like beating it up. You're like, go away.
So what's your advice to put before you leave? What's your advice to get yourself to start doing that?
Well, once things start to turn around in a positive manner, it becomes addictive. And even if you have a bad thought, if you have a bad thought, you just kind of, and it's about something or about someone, like about your car, say, okay, no bad thoughts, bless my car, and try to just then, because that's it's a positive comment coming from behind,
my car
but it's contagious.
Yeah,
it needs a miracle.
Reach out to the more positive thought.
My car's a 1994 Safari minivan, so it's so old. It's a miracle that it still goes. I'm very lucky that it still goes. I'm like, come on, baby, just keep going.
You are. What color is it? I had one.
I had
a blue one.
Silver. My loving grandfather donated it to me because we couldn't afford a second car, and I do not complain. I love that car to death, and the day it does die, I'm going to cry like a little baby.
Aww.
Winter, because that thing's got four-wheel drive. It's so nice. Well, thank you.
Well, Jason, thank you.
Anytime, I definitely want to get you back on some other time. I'd love to have you on a night, too, with some of the other medium friends I've made doing this show, like Katrina Cooper, Krista Fleck. I want to get a night of all women mediums on one night to talk about their experiences. I'd like to plan that out someday in the future. So if you're interested, I'd love to have you on, to have you women kind of talk about your similar experiences.
That would be great. I would love that. Absolutely.
Well, thank you. All right, guys. Next, Katrina Cooper. She will be on October 11th. That'll be next Sunday. We're going to have her on and her team from Texas. And at the moment, I feel awful because I forgot her team's name. I apologize. But I'll have a big banner out with their name on it and everything in their pictures very soon. But we're going to have her and her team from Texas on, and we will do open lines again. If anybody wants to call in and talk to Katrina. She did an amazing reading for a panelist on my show who was going through some really dark issues and still is. And she did an amazing reading for her on the fly. Like, she had no idea who this woman was, had no name or anything, and she gave me a list of notes she jotted down before the show started, before she talked to her, and they were dead on. So she is a amazing medium. She can really, I really do have been skeptical of the mediums that say they talk to the dead and stuff. There's cold reading out there, and it's a very touchy subject. I would never want to, even if I had the ability, I don't know if I'd want to touch that with a 10-foot pole, because when you put yourself out there like that, there's an expectation. Well, Katrina that night was her first time. She really put herself out there, and she nailed it dead on. So I cannot wait to get her back on the show and to show some of the evidence that they've gotten on their investigations with her team. So thank you, Exie. You have a wonderful night. And
thanks, Jason. Bye, Lisa.
Bye.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for staying up this late with me. We'll see you Halloween.
Yep.
Halloween night, okay? I still got to get my costume. I don't know.
I'm gonna get mine yet too.
Oh, I know. I'm running behind on that. Hey, thanks, Adam, for sticking up back there. I can't believe you're still awake, man.
Yeah, I'm still here.
She's rubbing off on you, man. You're both going to be severe insomniacs.
Yeah, bad influence.
You two go get some sleep. All right, guys. See you next Sunday. Katrina, her team from Texas. We're going to have some good evidence to show and open lines again. I loved having the callers. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, David, for calling in. And David, yes, I will get you on Google Hangouts. I will get you on. Find me on Facebook. Instant message me. Get me your Google Hangouts ID so I can get you on one of these nights. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Bye.
Again, thank you to my guest, Exie Susanne Smith. She was awesome. Definitely want to have her on again. Next Sunday, another awesome medium, Katrina Cooper, back again on my show. Cannot wait. I've been so pumped and excited to have her on. So that'll begin 10 p.m. to midnight. I'm pretty sure that's the time. I got to check my schedule again, but it should be 10 p.m. to midnight. Katrina Cooper and her team from Texas. We're going to look at their evidence and call in on Skype, guys. Ask her questions. She might be able to do a reading for you. I don't know. That's up to her, but we'll see. Thanks, guys. Have a great night, and thank you so much for watching.